suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Jeepers Creepers 2 from 2003. Now, when I found out there was going to be a sequel to Jeepers Creepers, I was always wondering how they were going to do this, where or when they were going to set this movie, because it only comes every 23 years, and I thought, okay, I think it'd be a little bit too far-fetched to set it in 2024 at this point because of the technology that we had and the knowledge that we had in 2003. And the only other option I could think of is set it back in 1978 with Kenny and Darla, because we've got a Kenny and Darla storyline in the first movie. So that would be my option at that point in time. But when I found out it was set on the same night, it was just set on the last day of the Creepers feed, I thought, okay, that's fine, because it's only 2 years later that they're filming this one, so it's not going to be totally too advanced for 2001. So yeah, I think if you're going to set it in any specific date, yeah, we might as well have it set on the same night as 2001, or should I say the same feed as 2001. This time we've got a group of high school kids that are from a football game, and they've got the cheerleaders on the bus as well, and they're trapped on the bus in the middle of nowhere. Again, I think the location and the situation that the people get themselves in Jeepers Creepers 2 is probably just as good as the situation that they got themselves in Jeepers Creepers 1. The build-up in Jeepers Creepers 2 is almost non-existent because we already got the build-up in part 1, but the suspense is still there because you've got the Taggarts at the beginning of this movie. You've got Jack Taggart Sr., Jack Taggart Jr., and you've also got Billy Taggart, who was the one who got taken away at the beginning. That was our build-up in this one. Not as strong as the massive build-up in part 1, but still a really good build-up to the Creeper getting everyone in this one situation. The Creeper himself was as menacing as ever. We got to see more of the Creeper. We got to see him kill more people as well and eat more people. We got more of a backstory with the Creeper. We got more of that Creeper lore, which I didn't mind because we didn't get too much of. But I felt like the way they showed us the backstory of the Creeper was a little forced and a little bit silly. I know it's a silly movie, but it made it even more silly with the girl who had the visions. I know we got Giselle from part 1 that gave us a bit of a backstory, which was fine. But then when you've got this girl who's just randomly having visions out of nowhere, I thought that took me out of the movie a bit. Yes, we got to see Darry again because of this girl's visions. But again, I think that was a little bit too far-fetched with the story that they were trying to feed us. There also might have been too many characters in this film. Yes, we like to see a big body count in monster movies, so you would think you would accept it for that. But because of what we saw in the first movie, what made the first movie so good was the lack of characters. We only had a couple of characters with that big character development, whereas in this one, you've got too many characters, so we don't get to latch on to anyone. The only person we really latch on to is Jack Taggart Sr., because he's the one that has a reason to go after this Creeper, or a big reason to go after the Creeper because of what happened with his son. I think we've got maybe two stories in one here. We've got a bus full of teenagers, which could have made for one story, and then you've got Jack Taggart and Senior and Junior, who are after the Creeper because they stole Billy and killed him. That's another story there. So when you're merging the two stories together, it's not a mess, but it could have been two separate movies. And because of that, I think there was just too many characters that you just couldn't latch onto. I can't even remember why Trish didn't come back for this one, because obviously it's set on the same feed as the first movie. I don't know if maybe it would be too early for her to come back. Maybe she would still be in hospital. Maybe she would still be in shock. I don't know. Or it could just be that Gina Phillips herself didn't want to reprise a role as Trish for this film, so they had to go a different route. Either way, I think it was not totally strange, but kind of strange that they didn't continue on with Trish's storyline, especially because it is on the same cycle. Yes, we hear about Trish later on in later movies that we'll talk about, but in this one, I kind of missed her. I know we saw Darry, but because we saw Darry, maybe we should have seen Trish as well, but we didn't, so we have to accept that they went that different route. Overall, guys, I think this was a strong sequel. Not as good as the first one because of the mysteriousness, the mystery of the first film. You're not going to capture that again. That was lightning in a bottle, and you're not going to be able to replicate that again because the genie is out the bottle, because we know what we're after here in this one. So that's why they had to up the ante. They had to up the body count and try and explain the creeper more in this film. That's the only way forward for a movie like Jeepers Creepers. So because of that, it was on a downward spiral. Not as good as the first movie, but still a worthy sequel and what could be, or what could have been, a really good franchise. So what do you think of the sequel, guys? Do you think it lived up to the Jeepers Creepers franchise? Do you think it was as good or even as better, or even better I should say, than the first movie? As always, guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.